Hello friends, this month we continue our discussion about the various names of God. And today I want to take a moment to discuss with you the profound truth that God sees us. And He is always here with us. God sees everything that happens to us. You know, when we say that God sees everything, it's often in the context of seeing all the negative. God sees everything and the neighbors see even more. But that's not the context I want to talk about. Of course, God attentively observes the movement of our thoughts, even those hidden ones we haven't yet voiced or fully realized. God sees both the good and the bad. He knows our hearts. Nothing is hidden from Him. But perhaps it is truly very important to fully know this. God observes every single event that occurs in our lives. God knows every detail about our pain, suffering, and unique experiences throughout life. If you take a careful look through the entire Bible, you'll notice that God consistently came to people whenever they cried out to Him during their times of deep sorrow, in moments of trouble, or amidst various challenging life situations they faced. God sees all of this. Maybe today you're saying, God, do you really see me? God, do you really know this situation? You don't care about what's happening to me. I want you to see this important message today, including through the Bible, and through this you will see your situation. Today, we will go through a heartfelt story that always deeply touches my heart. And this time, when I read the Bible, again in the book of Genesis, this significant name is mentioned once more. This name of God is mentioned in this story. Hagar, who is Sarah's servant, speaks of it. And she said this, yes, we will read about it later. But she responded, you are truly the God who sees me. She found herself in a truly dire situation, and it was extremely hard for her. She didn't know what the future held for her, where life would take her, or what would happen next. And then God met her. The angel of the Lord, that is God's messenger. And she understood deeply, God is aware of me and He knows exactly what is happening to me. This revelation is needed by each of us. God sees me. God has not forgotten about me. My problems are not solely my own. He knows about them. When we examine the New Testament closely, especially in relation to Jesus, we come to realize that Jesus truly embodies God. These divine attributes and sacred names of God reveal to us that He foresaw everything in the future. He knew every need. He knew what people would face. A story from the New Testament deeply resonates with me. Now we will get to Hagar, but one story truly touches my heart in the New Testament, when Jesus compassionately comes to a man who had been paralyzed and suffering for 38 long years, offering him hope and healing. And he laid by the healing pool of Bethesda. And when he lay there on the bed, there was something distinctly unusual about this situation. The Bible mentions that an angel descended from heaven and stirred the water in that location. And whoever happened to be the first person to enter the water could be miraculously healed. This paralyzed man had never been able to reach the finish line first all those long years. Someone always seemed to crawl in just ahead of him. Have you ever felt like someone else always seems to succeed effortlessly? Someone always seems to be faster while another appears to be favored by God, and somehow they manage to get ahead of everyone else around them. And this man, for a long 38 years, patiently watched others around him receive their miraculous healings and blessings, all the while he wondered in despair, God, do you even see me and my suffering? God, do you truly understand the depth of my pain and suffering that I am enduring? And you know, Jesus approaches this man directly and engages with him personally. The Bible doesn't specifically mention that Jesus healed anyone else in that location, but He chooses to approach this particular man. Friends, sometimes we may not fully understand how long we must wait for our prayers to be answered, but that certainly does not mean God doesn't see us or has forgotten about us. Absolutely not. He is always aware of our struggles and is with us every step of the way. God sees me. And let's return to this story about Hagar, where God's name is recorded, which means in the original, El Roi, the God who sees me. The God who sees me signifies that He is fully aware of every detail and aspect of my life and understands me completely. He understands everything that I am experiencing today. The situation is as follows. Before we take the time to read the excerpt thoroughly, what background information do we need to understand the context better? Hagar, for the most part, can be considered not to blame for any of the troubling situations or events that have occurred. Abraham, who is her master, and Sarah, her mistress, are perhaps even more to blame in this complicated situation than Hagar, as their actions significantly contribute to the unfolding events. What happened? Did you know that Abraham truly desired to have a child? He prayed to God. God promised him a child, but Sarah was unable to bear him any children at all. And then Sarah came up with a creative idea to offer him the services of her loyal maid. Children born to a maid were regarded as your own during that period. It appears that Abraham also consented to this arrangement without any objections or reservations. I don't know, maybe for some reasons, but he went along with it, and Hagar became pregnant. And of course, since she is carrying her master's child, she apparently felt a bit more entitled towards her mistress Sarah, who unfortunately couldn't bear children of her own while she was able to have a family. This dynamic created a complex and strained relationship between them. Rather, she hasn't given birth yet, but she is pregnant. And she apparently made some judgments, unspoken looks, or perhaps some other subtle gestures directed towards Sarah during their interaction. And then Sarah approached her husband Abraham and said with great frustration, "Here I am now deeply offended and distressed that I cannot bear you a child while she is joyfully pregnant." And she felt quite unwell about it, deeply troubled and conflicted. And then Abram said reassuringly, "Do whatever you wish, for she is your maidservant, and you have the freedom to do anything you desire with her." She started to abuse her in all ways. That is, she started creating unbearable conditions for her, something else. And a pregnant person, for example, my wife is also pregnant. I completely understand that you might not feel ready to express your thoughts right now. Emotions and hormones can be very unpredictable and fluctuating. Naturally, Hagar felt profoundly oppressed from all sides, sensing deeply that everyone around her was against her and unsupportive. But what was her fault? She likely questioned what she did wrong. Please excuse my language, but she probably thought, "It was my lords that chose merely passed me around like an object to bear a child, and then handed over to the master who slept with me." Now, as a result of this situation, I find myself pregnant and still facing blame for circumstances that were beyond my control. The situation became so unbearable for her that she felt compelled to run away from her harsh mistress. In her desperation, she fled into the vastness of the desert and sat by a spring. Though the Bible does not explicitly mention it, I believe she cried, overwhelmed by her distress and anguish. It is likely that she was deeply grieving her circumstances, as later the angel would reassure her that God sees and understands her suffering during this painful moment. I would like you to consider the possibility of seeing yourself reflected in certain challenging life circumstances. It's important to realize that you may not truly be at fault. Rather, it may feel as though everything has conspired against you, leaving you feeling compelled to abandon all that you have known and cherished. And here you find yourself in a confusing situation, unsure of where to go next, what actions to take, or how to effectively handle this predicament. And in fact, I think she was quietly sitting there, pondering and asking herself, where should I go next? What should I do? And where is this God? And an angel comes to her, and God begins to speak to her. And we read Genesis 16, 11, 13 together. Let's start from verse 10 instead. In this verse, God compassionately reassures us, saying, "I have seen your suffering." And then he tells her, "Behold, you are pregnant, and you will bear a son, and you shall call his name Ishmael, for the Lord has truly heard your heartfelt affliction and suffering." And then he speaks about her child, describing what he will become and his future and so on. Look, next we read that she called upon the Lord, the one who spoke to her with wisdom and guidance. She called him. She received a revelation. She understood who God is. And she responded. By this name she referred to him, saying, "You are truly the God who sees and acknowledges me in my time of need." In the original text, Elroy refers to the God who sees me clearly. For she said, "Truly, I have seen here the one who truly sees and understands me in my entirety." Let's go to the synodal translation. Or alternatively, you could translate it in this manner: I saw right here him who sees me clearly, the one who truly knows me. I want you to truly see him who sees you with unwavering faith right now. He who observes everything that is happening to you. Friends, we truly need unwavering faith when we approach God. And God, one of his beloved names is Elroy, the compassionate God who sees and understands me. He sees clearly today where you are running, how incredibly hard it is for you, that you are experiencing various forms of suffering and pain, that you don't know what is behind you is indeed bad, and what lies ahead is completely unknown and uncertain. But God sees you. God is with you. And God will say to her gently, "Go back. Be obedient. Everything will be fine." God will tell her what to do. Maybe you are also searching today, but he will clearly guide you on what to do next. Why? He sees you. Perhaps it takes a bit of time, maybe, but he sees you. He will speak to you, and he will guide you. Amen. This is what we will discuss in more detail today.